Hello and welcome back to the Music Shack with both
Ray
and Jack. Hi, we're back.
Hello. We are back. We are so back. We took a little break.
I moved.
We both
sorry.
had some. Jack moved. And the last time one of us moved houses, we took a year-long break.
That is
you
true.
should be thankful.
I mean, nearly, to be fair, trying to plan this episode, it nearly happened again. So, but we got there.
We got there in the end. Yeah, we did it. But we're back. We have very important things to talk about. We have Sabrina's new album, which is the focus of this episode. We're going to be talking like we usually do with new albums. We're going to be talking about our favorite tracks, our overall thoughts on what the album was like, giving some ratings, and talking about other people's thoughts. I mean, we're recording this now, 2 weeks after the album came out, so we'll probably talk a little bit about other people's perceptions and how our perceptions compare to it as well, which is some of the benefits of recording it late. But anyway, I digress. Sabrina released her new album, 12 tracks, Man's Best Friend, and it is, from my opinion, I think it's a really good album. All 12 tracks are bangers. A lot of them make me dance, which we all know is something that
Ray
I
loves
love.
a good song that can make her dance.
Exactly. So, what else do you need in life, Jack? But anyway, what were your overall thoughts on the album?
Without, I guess, sharing too much about certain tracks and stuff, I thought it was a really strong album. I don't necessarily think there's any skips on it. I think they all have their place on the track list. A little bit of maybe how the tracks were listed was a bit, I think, maybe threw me off a little in terms of cohesiveness of what the album was trying to say, overall, or how it was to go about it. Because there was some more 80s inspired or lean stuff that would then kind of go into more of this country, but then it would drop the country stuff, then go into this sort of different more dance style to then go back to country. And it was just whenever I concept an album, I'm okay, this could make sense, because if it's a relationship album, there's a lot of ups and downs, there's a lot of confusion in relationships, and this whole change of genre or shift of styling throughout the album could really match with how people feel. But then I always think I read into it too much, so I don't know, I think it was a really strong album. I'm just reading my thoughts, and I decided to not take any lines in between, so I'm it's all muddled up on my phone. But there is I prefer it over Short and Sweet, but Emails I Can't Send is still on top, and I think that'll forever be on top. Tornado Warnings, come for me. So yeah, I think a little bit of the tracks didn't hit as hard as they were as the other ones, but none were sort of skips. She's really good at I think this album furthers what we've seen on the Sweet and Sour tour, or just what we've seen her do in the past with setting things up in a universe of its own. And I think it's little styling, there's sort of at the end of Goodbye, there's Get Home Safe, she says get home safe, and I think it reminds me of something I don't know, you're at a concert or you're watching something and they sort of speak forth wall to you, and it's that bit tongue-in-cheek that Sabrina does really well, that the universe building of this 80s aesthetic, where I just feel that's what you would get from it. And I just think it's good, and there's a lot to be looked into about what the album's trying to say with its tracking, or with it overall if it's trying to be a cohesive album about relationships, or if it's meant to be a concept album about this one relationship, or this timeline, I guess you could say. But it's really strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think what you said about the sound, and how some songs are disco kind of, and some songs are country, I kind of expected after Man-Child
Mm-hmm.
that like most of the songs would be country coded. But I honestly really like what was done, and Jack Antonoff is like the main producer on the whole album, and it's super cool. Like, I think we haven't really seen Jack produce a lot of this genre that's on Sabrina's album, especially just like recency bias, but thinking of TTPD and Midnights and stuff, that the most recent albums that Jack is super known for. This is completely different, and I think he did a really good job at making the production sound really well. And I know on this podcast something that we talk about a lot, about how like you need good production to back lyrics. You can't have a song that's like good lyrics and good vocals and then you just put some random radio track behind it, like, is gonna be bad. So I think Jack did a really good job, and I think Sabrina's vision for this album was good and something that she put together well. I just want to read, like, in terms of actual message about the album, I want to read her Instagram post that she put out on the day that the album came out, because I think it provides some important context. I'm looking at my phone. That's why I'm looking down. Please do not yell at me. Anyway.
Yell at her.
She said, yeah, whatever. She said, it's a real party for heartbreak, a celebration of disappointment. It's laughing at yourself and your poor choices as everything is falling apart. It's wondering how loyalty and love always get you back to third wheeling, spoken sarcastically like a true 25-year-old. And I think that kind of sums it up well. Like, it's a breakup album in essence, like you said, but it's not a breakup album in like a traditional breakup album way where all the songs are sad and like they're like breakup songs, but they're kind of making fun of the situation and making it's like a happier take on a breakup album. I don't know how to describe it, but I think there's a few tracks in there that like are different, like When Did You Get Hot and House Tour. I think stand out the most to me, that don't kind of fit in that box, but they're fun songs that I'm happy that we get to hear, even if they don't fit completely within like the album story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. It's
Yeah.
It does seem like she has, it's not like a deep album. Like, I think what she is singing about is taken from like really deep experiences, but she's just portrayed it in this really like light-hearted manner, and like what you were saying, like it is sort of like just being able to laugh at yourself or like look back at these moments and maybe not take them as seriously or like deep them as much. And I think the 80s sort of like really leans in with like Jack's insane use of synth as he always does, but yeah, I actually really like it on this record. But
Yeah.
I think also pairing it with country is like a really good mix, because country songs are like insanely, there's like the genre is filled with heartbreak anthems for like that fit really well. So I think pairing it with this really upbeat and really like well-known genre and this sort of scene is like just a really nice pairing, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, Jack, getting into the meat of things, what were your favorite tracks on the album?
Okay, so my favorite tracks were Sugar Talking.
Yeah.
I said, I think one of the note was mostly in the delivery. I don't know what I was doing that, but in relation to so obviously the track, it covers like sort of people like being able to like navigate the dating world or like the hookup world with game, pretty much, right? And like not being able to back it up with anything other than just like having charisma. And I just think there was like this really like it's like sort of like there was like dreamy aspects to it and the delivery, and there was like a more of like a like a country theme to it, and it was just like a slower like vibe, and I kind of really fucking liked it, and it was just like sort of just calling them out and being like, come on, back it up, right? And that was fun. And then I also really liked Don't Worry, no, it wasn't. It was not that one. It was We Almost Broke Up Again last night. And it was obviously just the whole like toxic cycle of like the fake or like meaningless apologies to like repeat the same actions for the same outcome to happen, and like how you can't seem to like escape someone. And I just really like it. It's mostly just like a focus. There's like more of a focus on her vocals. There is like the instruments layered in the background, like quite a hefty amount of instruments in the background. Like I went to go check what was in the background, and let me check. It was like a huge list of like, so there was like a violin, there was a 12-string acoustic guitar, there was drums, there was electric, there was acoustic, there was a mellotron, there was like percussion, there was piano, there was bass, like.
Yeah.
And I was like, and there was obviously synth on it, and I was like, holy, it really backed up, well, and I just think, so part of the album is like, we had a little brief discussion. So the album is very sexual in manner, right? Like in theming.
Yeah.
And I just love how like, it's, the culture we're in right now is like really, people are like really sex negative, but it's like also like there is people that are really sex positive, and I just like how she like casually just like is so like open or like thingy about it, and I think that's like really important. And some people don't like it, but I don't know, I just like, there was like lyrics, and I think in this track she goes, I don't know, she says about, it gave me his whole heart, then I gave him head, and then we almost broke up, and I just like, okay, that's like such a throwaway
nobody
sort of comment.
Would say that. Like in a track, in most songs, people don't like, they wouldn't say something like that. They would just leave out the head part, but like it makes it fun, and it makes it like, why wouldn't you say that, is my thought. And it's like, it adds something to the song in a meaningful way, but it's also like a little bit cheeky, and those little like comments, even in the more serious songs like We Almost Broke Up Again last night, like the one you mentioned, exist throughout the whole album, and some of them are way more obvious than others in tracks like Tears, but
Tears like one massive like thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like the whole song is
the first time I listened to it, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, what? I was like, I see what she's trying to do here. Okay. But that's it. Like, think, nobody would just say it.
I think it goes back to the whole, there's 2 points here. I'm going to first address your favorite tracks. I agree. I really like Sugar Talking. I think the vocals are amazing. I like the country vibe. We Almost Broke Up Again last night was not, I like it, but it's not in my top songs. I feel like it gets lost a little bit, but I do like the instrumentals, so I can see where you're coming from. I think it just maybe got lost on me a little bit because it's in between two good songs. But anyway, your point about the sexual nature about the album and how like some people don't like it because a lot of people nowadays are sex negative, I think it goes back to the album cover discourse.
It does need to be spoke about. Like, I get where people are, and I agree with most people with it. I don't think I can stand on it as much because I'm a guy, right? And like, it's not for me to say something.
I don't care. Like, here's my opinion, okay? I think she mentioned something. She did talk about the album cover, and I can't find I don't know. I mean, I haven't looked, to be honest, but you look while I talk. So I want to say something. Both me and Jack are 25 years old, right? We grew up in a time where when we were younger, like, 15, 16, like, the internet was very sex positive at that time. So our first introduction to sex was positive, like, especially as a woman. I think that's true. And like, not to get like so political or like talk about this, but I think it's important. We are the same age as Sabrina, so we have the same kind of upbringing, I guess, like in terms of what we saw on the internet growing up. In terms of like sex workers, you know, we grew up in a time where Tumblr was one of the most popular social medias, and also for young people, it also was a very sex positive platform, and it made us sex positive people, especially as women, as it's like a woman empowerment thing. And now, as the internet becomes a little bit more right wing, I think people who are younger than us, who are like 19, 20, they've grown up in a time where it's like, oh my god, if I show my, like, if I'm gonna over sexualize myself on the internet as a woman, I will be an item to these guys who are like super right wing, and like they don't respect me. Why would you ever give up your body like that online just to be subjectified by, you know, idiots? And so I understand the dichotomy, but I think it's important to remember that Sabrina's our age, and therefore her perception of sex positivity on the internet is the same as ours. And if you're listening to this and you're younger and you have a different opinion, that's probably the reason why. And so I just think it's important context. It's not about the album. But Jack, did you find that quote?
Yeah, so she says, you all need to get out more, I think. Between me and my friends and my family, the people that I always share my music and art with first, it just wasn't even a conversation. It was just like, it's perfect for what the album is and what it represents. I believe she says, there's a quote here, as a young woman, you're just aware of when you're in control and when you're not. For me, this whole album was about the humanity of allowing yourself to make those mistakes, knowing when you're putting yourself in a situation that will end up poorly. She said, but it's going to teach you things. So there were a lot of different meanings. My parents actually loved the photo. And my parents actually loved the photo, and they loved it. Sick. That's a quote there. But yeah, I get where people are coming from, the backlash of it. I think what the cover can represent to people is important to like also take into consideration, and a lot of this, the sort of visualizers and the stuff coming from the album are leaning towards sort of the stuff that it's being compared to, and I get that, and I'm not gonna say anything on it. I just think like it's really,
yeah,
it's important for, this is what art does though, right? Like art is super subjective, so it's down to what people want to take from it, and also like people are allowed to be like upset about things, and it's necessarily some things that people are upset about, like they're Sabrina's not going to change a cover because of like people, like this is the way she envisioned the project, so necessarily no matter what you say to it, she's not going to do anything about it. You can dislike it, because I like when I learned more and like took time to actually understand why, and like read into it more, like I have my thoughts on it, like people have done the same thing and they have their thoughts on it. Like you don't have to be happy about a decision that was made, but it's like you can't, like, yeah, it's out there.
And I think the album in itself like speaks to why she chose that as the cover. And if you don't get it, maybe you should listen to it again. Like maybe you should listen to the album again, because I'm sorry, but it is laced within it, and like, you know, how this like relationship, how when you're not in control, but then also it's like, you know, sexy and fun, and you still have to be sexy and fun all the time. And it's like, that is the truth, and that is like what is expressed on this album in a, sometimes not a very obvious way, which is why people don't get it. Because they need something to be spelled out to them, which is not what art is. You know, it's all up for interpretation. You shouldn't just be told what something means. But if you don't know what something means, you can listen to the Music Shack, and we'll help you.
That is so true. Nice plug. And last of my favorites, or like not necessarily that it was a favorite, but I really liked the seeing Never Getting Late, where she mentions sort of like the agoraphobia line, or I don't know how to say it, But it's obviously like that fear of like places and like the anxiety disorder that usually like leads to people not wanting to leave their homes. So I think it's like that, like sort of like wishing someone the best after a breakup, but it's almost that perfect reflection of like hoping that they never get to experience like a love like yours you had, like that you two had. And I just think it's like a really fun line to throw in there, that just like is really good,
and it tickles my brain.
Yeah,
like the way she says it, it just tickles the brain.
It's really fucking cool. And then just, I don't know, little things like in Goodbye, it's not a track I really love, but to go from like the Lost in Communication line into like Sayonara and Adiós, and like I just think there's that like parallel of like Lost in Translation, Lost in Communication, but then having like the two different like languages. I don't know, I think that's very fun. Like Sabrina is such a smart like songwriter, and she is often reduced to like just being like someone who like throws sexual words in songs, and it's like, no, she's been about
it's always
for time,
intentional.
And she's done this for like a while. But what's your favorite tracks, and then we'll get to our like least favorites.
My favorite track, my very favorite track is My Man on Willpower. It is my favorite song on the album. My favorite part of this song is when the bridge, like it's not really the bridge, it's mostly the outro, but like when she goes like, my man's forgotten his devotion, and the way she says it, it's just like, beautiful. Anyway, that's like random.
Wait, is that the bit that sounds like it comes from like tornado warnings? There's a part in this song that sounds like very tornado warnings-ish.
I think that's why I like it too, because I love tornado warnings.
Yeah, I love tornado warnings.
Anyway,
good choice.
We won't shut up about tornado.
We really love tornado warnings.
The real reason I like this song, and on my very first listen to the album, I was like, what is this song? I don't get it. Like, what do you mean? Like, My Man on Willpower? I don't get it. And maybe it's like, because I've never experienced something like this. So I was like, what? But like, as I listened to it more and I like really like absorbed the lyrics, and it was my first time, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. And I'm going to be political again, but I think the social commentary in this song is absolutely incredible. There is, in men nowadays, especially with like podcasts like Joe Rogan and stuff, and men are moving like more right wing, there is also a tendency, like the start of that pipeline is self-help, I want to do like self-help, men's health, like all of these things. Like that is kind of the start of the like right-wing pipeline, as people call it. And I'm sorry for being so political, but I do think that this song is like alluding to that, and it's something that a lot of young women nowadays who are dating have to deal with, because a lot of men just are going through that and like falling for those like online sentiments. And the first step of that is self-help, and it's like part of that is like Andrew Tate being like, like making love to your partner is gay or whatever bullshit they say.
So weird.
Yeah, I know. I don't even know if he says that. Please, like,
probably. I'm honestly not gonna lie. He probably has said that at least once.
Yeah, and then like being the woman in a relationship of a man, like thinking these things are so cool, and like wanting to do this stuff that they've seen on the internet as like self-help things, and then you have to be like, okay, like why don't you like me anymore?
Yeah.
And like at the end when she's like, my man's in touch with his emotions, my man's forgotten his devotion, it's like, yeah, like my man thinks that he's in touch with his emotions, but actually like if he was, he would love me more and stop ignoring me. And yeah, he fell in love with self-restraint, and now it's getting out of hand. And I just think like maybe it's not intentional, but like it is true that women who are dating nowadays have to deal with these things a lot more, and Sabrina is one of those people. And so I think it's cool that like there's a track that on the album that reflects it, and it's also a banger. It's very well produced. So I love this song because it is fun in that way as well. And I love the social commentary. Anyway, my next favorite track has less weird meaning behind it. I just like it. It's called Go Go Juice is my favorite, is one of my favorite songs, which is really funny because Jack knows, you guys don't know listening, but I'm sober. I don't drink. And yet this is my favorite song. I think it's really fun. I think I like the country kind of like line dancing vibe of it. It's something I really liked about Man Child, something I like even more in this. It's just something that tickles my brain. It's a sound I really enjoy. And then I love the part where she calls out all of her exes in a rhymey way. I think it's so much fun. I just think it's such a fun thing to do. Like, everyone knows, like, her relationships have been quite public, so just to do that, it's fun. And then the bridge where she says things like she's drunk texting someone, it's amazing. Like, the way that something like such a simple concept of like drunk texting someone can be made into like such a beautiful song, it's amazing. I like it. I like the sound. The lyrics are creative and fun, and like that's what I love Sabrina for.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are my favorites.
No, it's good. That I'm glad you mentioned that chorus about like the rhyming of the names and stuff, because obviously it's like I don't know. I think there's also something to be said about like the rhyming Dylan with villain. Is like, okay, is that like also a tale of like how things went in the relationship? And there's like, because there's so many other words you can rhyme with Dylan, right? And it's, I don't know, this is why I love like her writing, because she's chosen that word for a reason, and like obviously that would happen for anybody else, but yeah, there's like, I don't know, she's just like, this is stuff, I think the lyricism was maybe lost a little bit in Short and Sweet, but this is a lyricism that like really kind of calls back to like Emails I Can't Send and beyond and past.
It is funny that you say that, because I agree with you, but I think that the general public sentiment is that this album is just about sex, or it's just a fun dance album with a bunch of fun songs on it, and there's no like deeper meaning to anything. And I'm like, well, no, like, listen to the album, please.
I think Short and Sweet is more of a commercial pop album, and it's like more of like a get your numbers up album, and there's like there is stuff to it, and there's certain tracks where it's like, okay, this is really in depth and like intertwined with like different things, but I just think this album is like a lot. It says a lot more, and I also kind of like the fact that people are just like, yeah, it's all sexual, because it shows that like people just aren't understanding, or like not even understand. I sound like such a knobhead, not understanding, but like not taking the time to like actually read into the album. And I kind of love that, because I'm like, well, if you don't actually take the time, then you don't get to like appreciate it, because you're not doing the time. You're not appreciating the music.
I agree. I just wanted to comment like about what you said, that Short and Sweet is a commercial pop album, and I think you're right. She did mention that in her Instagram post. She said, how special to make something out of pure inspiration and zero pressure. And I think you can see that in the album, and it's funny because obviously labels are always pressuring people to make a commercial pop album or be successful, but now she has been successful. She literally can just make an album because she wants to and do whatever she wants to, and this is what we get out of it, and which means that artists, when they're allowed to be creative and don't have to be put into a box, can do incredible things and be successful. So we should do that more often.
Agree. And you're not going to see tracks like House Tour on Short and Sweet.
No.
But that's where she like shines, like just this tongue-in-cheek, like silly, like references to like pineapple, whatever. Like just, it's like you're straight in there and it's like fun, just whatever. And she like, I don't know, the callbacks to like songs.
House Tour literally is one of those songs that is just a fun dance song. It doesn't really have much deeper.
But it's like super layered, because it's like the part where she's like, I think like the house on Pretty Girl Avenue is like a massive. I feel like it's a callback to like Electric Avenue, the song by like Eddie Grant from the 80s, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
like this is such a like a time repeat, and I'm like, fuck yeah, and like while it's a fun track,
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah, I don't know, it's cool. Least favorite tracks, or least favorite.
You go first.
Oh God,
I'm curious.
I'm scared. Okay, so two. I have two. So Man Child.
Okay. Okay.
I did say.
I disagree, but
Okay,
go on.
that's still fine. I just said that the production obviously is like a massive standout on this track. Like you have those Jack ad libs that he really loves to like push through. We love that. But it's also like just this like there's that 80s esque like upbeat styling, but there's like that country in the background that really plays into like the start of the album. And it achieved sort of like what it was meant to do in like as a single, calling out sort of and like enacting as like a sort of like, I don't know, it just sets up the tone of the album. But I just think like there's a lot of tracks on this album that do a lot more than the Man Child did. I think because Man Child was maybe more placed to be a single, that it like, I always think singles don't have as much, like they lose a lot of like maybe sort of certain styling because they have to be done a certain way to do well, or like to be pushed further, and that's maybe like the only reason. And maybe it's just because it was really overplayed and it stresses me out and I can hear a song like every single second. But it doesn't, it's not a bad song. It was just like one that I was like, okay, I've heard this way too much, and it was just like there wasn't in that track as much as there was others. And then When Did You Get So Hot, I felt like I really liked the shift up. Like it was like it was like the middle of the album, really good place to like do this different thing with it. But I just didn't think it had like much to say. It didn't have much severity. It was just like a fun track.
I like When Did You Get Hot, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I would agree that like I think I mentioned this at the start too. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in the album. But it is really fun, so I'm not complaining about it. But I get why you don't like it.
But it like also follows the theme, and like the Take Me to Naked Twister Back at Your Place, or like I Bet Your Light Rod's like bigger than Zeus's. Like there's just like everything is like so cohesive in terms of that, but I just don't think it has like as much severity as other tracks on the album. But it's a fun track. It just, when it hit, I was like, oh, this is really different. But then it kind of fell flat after the next track because it kind of went back to what it was before, and I was like, oh, okay, that didn't really like.
You know what? Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's like a perfect that happens. Like there's people you're like, oh fuck, like I knew you when you looked completely different, and now how do you look like that? Like that's such a real thing. But yeah, that's my two least favorites.
My least favorite, to continue being a downer, I'm just gonna have one. Okay. Is Don't Worry, I'll Make You Worry.
Okay.
And I think, I don't know, I feel like this is the kind of song that might be able to grow on me with time. But the reason I don't like it only a few weeks after the album has come out is because of where it sits in the track list. And when I put this album on play and I'm working or whatever, I'm vibing to When Did You Get Hot, and then I'm vibing to Go Go Juice, and then this song is like slow and it just doesn't like stand out to me at all. I'm just like, what am I listening to? Skip. And then House Tour comes on and I'm like, oh yay, again, you know? And like maybe it's in the wrong place in the track list. Maybe I need to listen to it like standalone by itself more. But genuinely, I've been listening to this album while I've been working, while I've been on the train and whatever, and every time it comes on I go, oh, skip, I want to listen to House Tour. And yeah, and it just like, I don't know, the sound kind of falls flat. It doesn't hook you in, which makes me want to skip it. And I'm not saying this song is a skip, but like, I just don't, something about it. I think, like I said, I think it needs to grow on me. I think I need to listen to it in isolation, instead of just like listening to the album top to bottom, which is what I usually do when albums come out. But yeah. Did you like the song, Jack?
What did I say? I said, I think she previously spoke about this being like the last track of the album when she like was placing things, and it kind of, I think it could fit there because it like tails off, but it's like I took it as like it's like a serenade, but it's like got this like whispery vocal, and it's like it comes across really sincere, and I think it's like, you know that way where like someone's like really sweet that it's like really frightening because they're like, they could ruin my life. So I think it gives me that, because it's almost that aspect of like, she knows how much damage she could do by leaving, but she also knows that like how much damage could be done in return as well, like how much damage it would like do her. So there's this like really soft approach to it, but I think I agree with you because it sits in like a really weird place, because you go from like When You Get So Hot, which is like high, and then you go from Go Juice, which is like this country sort of like bop, that kind of sits at the same level. You come down to this, it's like slower, then you go straight back up to House Tour, and usually if you're gonna have a lull, you would usually have like a lull in the middle of the album, but this isn't a lull, this is just like one track. Usually like a lull's like a couple tracks.
To me, it needs to go after Nobody's Son, before Never Getting Laid.
Yeah.
And then like Goodbye is slower, obviously, but it's the last track, so it's fine. But it still like has that upbeat nature, so it flows from House Tour.
Yeah. I see you. Or like maybe put it after Goodbye, after House Tour, maybe like just like where like, because Goodbye is like Goodbye is this like really you know, that have you heard the chant that's like na 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 hey 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 goodbye? This song gives me really like similar vibes. I don't know why, like see the delivery of like lines, I'm like, yeah, I could see this, like this could be like one of those chants, and it's like a perfect closer. Yeah.
Now that you say that, I'm like thinking of these lyrics like chanted in a football
stadium, I don't know.
And I'm like, damn.
I don't know what lyric it was. It was it was like certain lyrics on it, and it was like, yeah, this could be like, or even maybe it was like the way that she was delivering like the sentences. I was like, yeah, this is it. I need to listen to it again. But and also just the way of like being like, she talks about like him loving or ass or something, and then talks about cake later on. And I'm like, this is like, I'm like, God, she's smart. I really like it. I honestly thought I wasn't gonna like it coming into it, because I listened to it a couple days after it came out, and I heard like so many comments on it, and I was like, I'm not gonna like this. And while like I'd probably give it like a 7, it's not like, but that's just because like there is a couple tracks that don't hit, but that's like, I feel like that's quite a strong rating, so I don't know. That's good.
That's fair. Any closing thoughts on the album before we wrap it up?
Please no deluxe.
Yeah, I think this album doesn't need a deluxe. I would agree. There might be a deluxe. I wonder if there's going to be a tour. There's nothing been announced.
I see someone said this, but I don't think she's going to tour for it.
Yeah.
But then also with tracks like Goodbye, she sings it last and says get home safe. Like there is like little moments where I'm like, okay, is there this? But she just came back off that other tour, so I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if she wants to tour. Like, she probably wants a break from touring, which I get. Which is why I'm like, oh, maybe she'll release a deluxe and then she'll just tour it after the deluxe, which is worried some. But anyway, we'll see what happens when that happens. Because if it's like a B-side and it's like 10 new tracks, I'm okay with it. But if it's like 4 random tracks, then maybe not.
That's fair.
But there is the bonus track, which I haven't listened to, which is
I've actually not listened to either.
Record.
Such a funny way.
So, we won't have comments on that, but maybe that's something that will come in a deluxe later. I'm sure it'll come in streaming eventually, but we'll see. Yeah, I think that's it then. We spoke about the album. I think overall my opinion on this album is it's really good. Album of the year, maybe not, but we'll speak on that when it comes to Grammy season, guys, which Grammy nomination period is over, so maybe we can think about what our album of the year would be, but
I've got a couple
we'll
contenders.
speak on that at the end of the year. But yeah, we'll speak on that at the end of the year, and we will speak on Grammy nominations next year. So, you know, if you are interested in all those things, you should subscribe to the channel, leave us a rating on Spotify, all the fun stuff, all the things we love. Thank you so much for listening. And yeah, have a good week, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Yeah. Au revoir. Damn it. Hey,
Bye.
say, fuck. Sayonara, adiós, and whatever else she said. I don't fucking know.
Get home safe.
Get home safe. Get home safe.
You're probably already at home. Anyway, bye.